The old house on Elm Street held its breath in the late afternoon sun, dust motes dancing in the slanted rays like forgotten memories. Eleanor sat by the bay window, her gnarled hands resting lightly on the faded floral armchair outside. Children Euro's laughter echoed, a sound that seemed both achingly familiar and impossibly distant. Time had become a slippery thing lately, moments dissolving like sugar in tea before she could quite grasp them. Her reflection in the darkening windowpane showed a face mapped with wrinkles, eyes that had seen nearly 8 decades, yet sometimes felt startlingly young inside. A familiar pang of loneliness touched her heart, a quiet companion these days since Arthur passed. The silence in the rooms was thick, filled only by the rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock, a sound that measured the slow, steady march towards an uncertain twilight. Restlessness stirred within her. She pushed herself up, the old bones protesting softly, and shuffled towards the seldom used attic stairs. Perhaps there was solace in the past, tucked away in trunks and boxes under the eaves. The stairs creaked their familiar protest as she ascended into the dim, cedar-scented space. Light filtered weakly through a small, grimy window, illuminating swirling dust. Her eyes scanned the clutter until they settled on a large, sheet-draped shape leaning against a far beam. With trembling hands, she pulled the dusty fabric away, revealing an ornate, full-length mirror. But it wasn't whole. A jagged crack ran diagonally across its surface, splitting her reflection into fractured pieces. A sharp intake of breath escaped her. This was Arthur's grandmother's mirror, salvaged decades ago after a clumsy move, deemed too beautiful to discard. Despite its wound, reaching out, her fingertips traced the cold, sharp edge of the break. As she did, a tremor ran through her, not of pain, but of sudden, vivid recollection. The fractured pane didn't show the attic. Instead, a sun-drenched meadow bloomed within the largest shard. She saw herself, impossibly young, her dark hair loose and wild, running barefoot through tall grass dotted with buttercups. And there he was, Arthur, young and lean, chasing her with boyish laughter, his eyes the impossible blue she remembered so clearly. The scent of crushed grass and wildflowers filled her nostrils, the warmth of that long-ago sun seemed to touch her skin. His hand caught hers, pulling her into a dizzying spin, their joyful shouts echoing not in the attic, but in the vibrant landscape trapped within the glass. The sheer, visceral reality of the memory stole her breath, shifting her gaze slightly to another, smaller fragment near the top. The scene dissolved now. She saw the cozy chaos of their first tiny kitchen. Steam fogged the windowpanes. She stood at the stove, much younger, visibly pregnant, stirring a pot of something that smelled wonderfully of onions and herbs. Arthur came up behind her, wrapping his arms gently around her swollen waist, resting his chin on her shoulder. She could feel the solid warmth of him, the scratch of his work shirt against her neck. He murmured something low and loving against her ear, the words lost to time, but the tender rumble of his voice vibrated through her memory as clearly as if he stood beside her now. She turned her head within the reflection, smiling up at him, her hand covering his on her belly, feeling the eager kick of their unborn child beneath their joined palms. The love in that cramped, steamy room was a tangible warmth radiating from the broken glass. Her eyes drifted downwards to a triangular shard near the mirror's base. The warmth vanished, replaced by a chilling gray pallor. This reflection showed a stark hospital room. Rain lashed against the window. Arthur lay diminished in the narrow bed, his face gaunt, eyes closed, his breathing shallow and labored. Eleanor, looking weary and middle-aged in this shard, sat rigidly in a chair beside him, clutching his frail hand as if she could anchor him to life through sheer will. The sound of the rain was a relentless drumming, the antiseptic smell harsh and unforgiving. She watched her younger self lean forward, whispering words of love and strength she wasn't sure he could even hear, her heart a cold, heavy stone in her chest. The raw grief of that final vigil washed over her anew, a cold wave threatening to pull her under. Tears blurred her vision, tracing hot paths down her weathered cheeks. She hadn't visited this pain in so long, buried it deep. Yet, as she looked at the broken mirror, at all the fractured pieces holding moments of pure joy and profound sorrow, a strange calm began to seep through the sadness. This mirror wasn't just broken, it was a mosaic of her life with Arthur. Every sharp edge held a truth, every glittering fragment a testament to their shared journey, the dizzying heights and the devastating lows. It wasn't a perfect picture, but it was theirs, uniquely beautiful in its fragmented wholeness. The love hadn't been erased by the breaking, It was embedded in every single piece. Shimmering with the enduring light of memory, Eleanor slowly lowered her hand from the glass. The attic was quiet again. The dust settling, the sharp ache of loss was still present, a familiar hollow. But it no longer felt like a void, it felt like a space filled with echoes, a euro, laughter in sunlit fields, whispered promises in a steamy kitchen. The fierce, silent language of holding hands in a dim room. She didn't see a broken object anymore. She saw a sacred reliquary. Gently, she pulled the sheet back over the mirror, not to hide it, but to protect it. Descending the creaking stairs, the silence of the house below felt different. It wasn't empty. It was simply waiting. She settled back into her chair by the window, watching the velvet dusk embrace Elm Street. Closing her eyes, she didn't chase the fading memories, she let them come, fragmented and beautiful, reflections in a broken mirror, proof that a life fully lived, even shattered by loss, still holds an incandescent, enduring glow. And for the first time in a long while, peace, soft as twilight, settled around her heart.